Popular horror games like The Mimic, Piggy, and The Asylum used to dominate the horror genre of Roblox, drawing thousands of players to the platform. However, over time, the screams faded out as the genre seemingly died off. And at one point, the horror genre was filled only with clones of other popular games, lacking innovation. And that's when Doors arrived on the scene, gaining over 1 billion visits within the first few months after launch. Doors literally revived the dying horror genre and gave it a new life. However, with the oversaturation and rise of copycats after its release, how is Doors able to live up to its name as the savior of the Roblox horror genre? But to figure out how, we have to go back to the time where games like Piggy, Flee the Facility, and Camping took the platform by storm. These fresh and thrilling games had players jumping out of their seats with excitement.
Please report sightings to police.
Oh my god! But now, horror games on Roblox just aren't scary anymore. What used to be fresh and thrilling has gotten tiring and predictable. The horror genre has gotten stale and has become nothing but cheap clones and boring jump scares. Take, for example, the game The Maze, which has its repetitive Pac-Man style layouts, or Haunted Hunters, which is just a copycat of Piggy with repetitive objectives. But were horror games always like this? To answer this, we have to head all the way back to August 2006, when the first Roblox horror game, Forest of Desolation, was created. The Forest of Desolation is a game featuring a small map with a crumbling tower and autumn-colored trees, which players described as a darkly atmospheric map. However, the game has not been updated since 2009 and no longer functions properly. The game also had its name changed from The Forest of Desolation to Abyss's Place, and creator of the game, Abyss, was also banned from the platform. Though the game was not a huge success, it did open the door for more interesting games to come ahead. The following year, the first Roblox creepypasta, which we now call Torture Chamber, was released. The story goes that the creator, Spirit, along with a group of others, were ghosts of dead Roblox players. When a player enters the torture chamber, the user would be spawned in a black box with creepy messages floating in the screen before quickly racking up hundreds of deaths. At the time, there were no other games like this, making it seem like the scariest Roblox game ever. Following that, many other games like The Undead Coming, Underground Base, and 7 Days were released on the platform. These games laid the foundation for the upcoming horror games for the next decade. And a prime example of the rising popularity of Roblox myths and creepypastas in the early 2010s is the mysterious profile Noli. According to a post by the user, Yale University, he had discovered an account with a glitched profile simply called Noli on the Roblox forums. Further investigation revealed an affiliated game called The Tempest linked to Noli. When joining, players were spawned in front of a dark temple with a mysterious figure named ASPX standing. In front of ASPX is a deadly red triangle that kills anyone who touches it. When the player goes behind the temple, there is a teleporter that leads to a much better place guarded by a figure called Reverse ASPX, warning visitors to leave. If players remain in the temple for too long after touching the red triangle, Noli apparently becomes angry and the temple will crumble down with the player inside. Due to the sinister nature of this game and account, rumors spread that angering Noli or even just playing The Tempest could lead to your Roblox account being deleted. As we talk about games that make your heart beat fast from fear, I'd like to thank our sponsor, GPark, for making this video possible. GPark is an app which has quick, competitive games to get your blood pumping to. With its anime style, tons of minigames, and deep character customization, GPark shares some cool features with big platforms like Roblox. GPark has its own unique style and exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. The best scary games keep you on the edge, feeling surprised and desperate to survive. And GPark brings that same adrenaline rush with fun genres beyond just horror. So, if you want fast-paced games to get your heart racing while you compete with friends, be sure to check out GPark using the link in the description. Fast forward to early 2020. Things were looking a bit dull with players getting bored with the repetitive gameplay of most titles. However, that all changed when Piggy burst onto the scene. Released by Minitoon in January 2020, Piggy also holds the 7th spot on the list of the most popular Roblox games. But what does the game do that makes it so addictive? Well, Piggy combines Granny, the indie escape room game, with the visuals of Peppa Pig in a zombie apocalypse setting. The gameplay revolves around the character Piggy, who takes the role of finding the other players in the house, which is similar to Granny. One player becomes Piggy each round, while the others must find items and work together to unlock exits before being caught. What began as a parody game has now become the most popular horror game in Roblox history. Seeing how popular his game was becoming, Minitoon kept adding to it. The developer created more levels with storylines and character lore, including books and chapters. A sequel called Piggy Book 2 was launched in September 2020, which helped Piggy set a new record as it became the fastest Roblox game to reach 1 billion visits, doing it in just 83 days after release. But things eventually started to slow down. With each new sequel, it felt like the series was just limping along. The jump scares were all the same old recycled sounds, and at this point, it looked like the developers were trying hard to not let the game die. And, rightly, on November 24, 2022, Minitoon announced that the main game of Piggy was finally over. But things changed for the better with the release of The Mimic. Developed by MacDitch, The Mimic is a horror survival game heavily based on Japanese culture. The game was released on January 15th, 2021, and it features 4 books: Control's Book, Jealousy's Book, and the 2 upcoming ones, Rebirth's Book and Rage's Book. The first book, called the Control's Book, covers 4 chapters, followed by 3 chapters in the Jealousy book. The Mimic added an extra game mode called The Witch Trials, which is a prequel to the main events of the game. The main story of the game is about a witch who has cursed the family, and as a player, you have to escape from this demon Sama, who is the master puppeteer and controls all the monsters in the game. The demon world mimics reality and is based on a real-life story, hence it got the name The Mimic. The game was made in a sort of ancient setting of Japan, making the entire story an ancient myth with many beasts and creatures. Moreover, there is at least 1 maze in each chapter, and the goal is to escape without running into monsters in the chapter. All you should do is try to survive, escape, and avoid getting killed. So, doesn't the game seem similar to the previous Roblox horror games? And what makes it special from the rest? It's simple: the story. You see, the game is based on Japanese folklore and has a touch of history relating to urban legends, making it an excellent game for all those who play horror, not just for the thrill, but for the story. Secondly, in each and every chapter, there is a different character and deep stories with mysteries. With each story having a unique plot, it has become a fan favorite in the Roblox horror genre. These differences make it unique when compared to the rest of the games on the Roblox front page. With Mimic becoming one of the most popular and highest quality horror games on Roblox, copycats were bound to appear. After Mimic took off, the Roblox front page was filled up with all kinds of chapter-based horror games that clearly copied Mimic style. These clones basically had the same formula. Players get chased by monsters while picking up random items around a map. It was a total copy-paste job seen throughout the year. Now, while Mimic made horror fun and exciting again for Roblox players, it was a game called Doors that brought the horror genre fully into the mainstream. Released in August 2022 by indie developers L-Splash and Red, Doors is a first-person horror game inspired by other popular titles, Rooms, and Spookies. The gameplay involves players going through over 100 hotel rooms, opening different doors, and using trial and error to progress. The goal is to escape the creepy hotel with the players collecting various items to help them avoid getting killed by terrifying creatures called entities. Each room is filled with a bunch of interactive furniture and items that you can mess around with. On the shelves, you can find different things like coins or random little items such as keys, which will help you proceed to the next room. Not only did Doors quickly attract casual players, it also became one of the fastest growing horror games ever on Roblox as it gained over 1 billion visits within just 3 months, which is a massive feat to achieve in the platform. But this was not just pure luck. There's a few reasons why Doors took off so fast. Firstly, the visuals and animations are incredibly polished, showing the hard work the developers put in. The concept itself, going through scary, unpredictable doors, really resonated with players too. Each door opening to reveal a new mystery or horror provided tense, exciting gameplay full of surprises. This unpredictability kept players on the edge of their seats. The intriguing risk versus reward behind each door made it compelling to keep progressing further. This simple yet effective concept hadn't quite been implemented the way Doors made use of it. In just a couple of weeks after Doors was initially released on Roblox, Flamingo uploaded a video playing the game. Given Flamingo's huge subscriber base, this exposed Doors to a massive audience right from the start. Popular Roblox YouTubers and streamers like FGTV and Think Noodles also made gameplay videos on Doors early on, exposing the game to their millions of fans. On top of that, the game itself has very straightforward and intuitive mechanics. The simple controls like walking, running, opening doors, and collecting keys makes it easy for new players to pick up and enjoy right away. This means nearly anyone could quickly jump into the game and have fun getting spooked by the creepy hotel. Another huge reason why players stuck around with Doors is due to the developers constantly pumping out new content. The creator, Splash, made sure to frequently update the game with tons of expansions like adding new monsters, game mechanics, story elements, and even new game modes. This kept Doors feeling fresh every time when players returned. The best part is the developers actually listened to the community too. The creator of the Doors, Splash, is super engaged on Twitter and polls fans for ideas on new doors, acknowledges fan art, and builds hype for upcoming updates. That passion and communication keeps players invested big time and makes you feel part of the Doors community. But lately things have taken a serious nosedive in the horror genre. What started with a few obby-style games with repetitive jump scares has gotten worse. At one point, the whole horror genre is repeated with the same game under a different title and thumbnail. It just feels like every other horror game is racing through dark rooms full of the same jump scares and triggers repeatedly. Where's the creativity in that? And no developer group has exploited the genre more than the Extreme Funds group. Extreme Funds is a horror game group that owns 13 horror-themed games that have gained millions of players from all their games. Basically, what they do is use the exact same script from one game and change the models to fit the game theme. Though the fans were overwhelmingly welcoming of their games at the start, as days went by, the developers started to develop the same game by repackaging it into the experience. Take, for example, the hospital experience, where there are 3 boxes, each having 3 different medicines. When the NPCs, aka the patients, come to the hospital, all you have to do is give them the medicine they want. But the same thing is copied in the other game, the hotel experience, where the only difference is the medicines are replaced with keys. The developers have gotten so used to it that in each and every game, they try to fit in the same concept with a different theme, which has irked both the Roblox YouTube community and the players.
In almost every single one of these games, no matter what game you're playing, it's basically just chore simulator.
With one fan going on to say, "As someone who likes games with a story that makes sense, these games infuriate me. They're watered-down retellings of the same old thing, and a lot of the decisions don't make sense with what's happening in the game." And some fans even go on to claim that experiences nowadays make no sense with the same story and often repeatable formula of doing the exact same start and ending in each game. This oversaturation of copycat horror games has drowned out many of the more unique, passionately built games in the genre. And 2 things are to blame: the money-hungry mindset of the developers, and Roblox rewarding it. You see, Roblox has fundamentally changed how developers create games, and not necessarily for the better. With the algorithm rewarding longer playtimes, horror games have increasingly become exercises rather than genuine scares. Developers now rely on cheap tricks to pad out gameplay, searching for keys in empty rooms, holding down the use button on mundane tasks, and waiting around idly have become the new normal in the genre. These fillers do nothing but bloat playtime and the overall gaming experience. This is a result of Roblox incentivizing developers to optimize for engagement over entertainment. If this continues, this might be the end of the horror genre in Roblox. For the sake of devoted horror fans and creators, Roblox has to do something to allow only legitimate games rather than copycats that made the genre so great in the first place. The scariest outcome is the day when you log into Roblox in search of a thrilling and memorable adventure, but in the end, the only thing you find is an endless line of identical games filled with the same old story. As Paulo Coelho in his book rightly put, the enemy of creativity is the familiar.